Welcome to week number 5 of the B Graders. This week we're inside the working cafe. There's going to be a bit of noise behind the scenes because it's raining outside, so we've come inside here to Sweet Remedy. We're on the couch. It's a little bit wet out there.
We melt in water.
We do melt in water. We don't ride in the rain anymore. Those days are well and truly go. When you do not want to ride in the rain, go to that bloke. He'll help you out. Mate, it's been a big weekend of racing here in Western Australia, big weekend of racing worldwide. But of course, we touched on it last week. The West Australian Criterium Championships were held around Technology Park on Sunday. Magnificent weather.
Oh, the best day I've ever seen at Technology Park. Hardly a breath of wind up until about halfway through the elite women's race. Then it started to blow a little bit. Sun was shining. People were on the grass watching.
For those of you who don't live in WA, Technology Park is probably the best natural sort of grandstand for spectators to watch a bike race. It's not the greatest course for riders.
Absolute crap course to ride.
Yeah, but for a spectator, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Really hard. Really hard. When I say crap, it makes for very, very hard racing. So if you're not in form, if you're not going well, you're going to have a pretty bad day when you're there.
No real surprises. No real surprises at the weekend for the state championships. Stephen Hall, he won the men's. And on the day, Matt and I were commentating, and we had Graham Brown, dual Olympic champion.
He got nothing right.
Who is the oracle of getting everything wrong when he's commentating, just a word of warning. We all picked Stephen Hall, though. That's the only thing Brownie got right on the day. Stephen Hall, congratulations, Steve. Very good win. The women?
Worst bike race I've seen this year. Great result, fitting winner, the most boring bike race to watch.
Very good ride by Alison Dyson, who's
Absolutely.
50 plus. Sorry to say that. Now, Alison's not going to worry. She knows she races in the 50 plus.
Well, she won the 50 plus criterion earlier in the day.
Earlier in the day, broke away at the 50 plus criterion, won the state title. In the main race, not a lot of racing going on in the first part. Alison took advantage of that, and then it all came down in the end to a sprint finish. And one of the things about that race, Matt, and you've said your piece, and people will hear that.
And I don't care if they don't like it. That's my opinion. It is my opinion, and I'm going to stick by it.
Stick by it. Stick by it, and I'll back you up. The only thing I'll say about it is you had an attacking bike rider making the race, giving us entertainment. I would have liked to have seen the other attacking bike riders in there. And there was a few of them.
Absolutely.
Possibly, once they realised they were going to get chased every time they moved, possibly just said, you know what? We're not going to chase one of our own. We're going to let the sprinters chase. But that didn't happen.
No, and what happened was one, maybe two of the attacking riders decided that I will do a few attacks here and there, brought the race back, and fitting win to the young lass who won.
Sarah Duffield, congratulations,
fantastic.
State champion.
Her tactics played out perfectly for her. You can't have a go at her for how she rode the race because she won it. I'm just saying, as a spectacle, pretty ordinary.
Do you know what I feel sorry for?
Who?
Jade Haynes.
Yep.
Jade Haynes, now to give you a bit of a backstory, sorry for rubbing my nose, it's a bit itchy. Last year, Jade Haynes won the Open event as a first year under 19. This year, the race organisers, God bless them for putting on the bike race, but this year they took the under 19s out of the main race and made them ride by themselves. So Jade Haynes didn't get the opportunity to back up and do the double before she's even old enough to do the double, and the way the race panned out, there's a very good chance she would have been right at the front of the mix in that sprint finish. Jade Haynes won the under 19 title. She beat Emily Mascaro. There was another girl in the race, Cass Boglio. Well done, Cass. But it's a very hard job to come up against two of the best girls in the nation in Mascaro and Jade Haynes. They rode around together for the entire race. Mascaro attacked, Haynes followed. Haynes won the sprint. Well done.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Under 19 boys was a good race. Stop, start, bit of aggression. The top three boys in the race were Craig Wiggins, Tyler Lindorff, and also Connor Lay. They're all national medalists or Oceania Games medalists. 1, 2, 3 on the day, and they did a very good ride, first, second and third, as they went across the line.
That's good though. Most of the racing was fantastic. Look, you saw the 50 plus men's criterion won by Chris Glasby. That wasn't as interesting. Really, two guys in that race who were just a level above. Chris
and Colin Rose.
Colin Rose. The rest went around, tried very hard. rode a pretty good race, but it was really quite evident early in the race that there was only going to come down to 2 guys for the win.
40 to 49s was won by Brett Stapleton, who we mentioned as the sexiest man in cycling last week. Well, he showed he's obviously the best one in the 40 to 49 category, and a good ride by Tom Perry in the 30 to 39s. He beat last year's champion Luke Pledger in a very hard-fought sprint. A good racing from all of those guys.
Luke did everything he needed to do. He made Tom win that race. He took Tom across the road, made him come up the closed side along the barriers, and give Mr. Perry a little bit of credence. He didn't back off. He went through the bike and had a win. It's a good win.
Juniors racing was on. You know what? I'm not going to mention who won all the junior races because I don't have a list of them in front of me.
All the kids who participated were winners because they got out there and they had a good crack.
Very, very good.
Look, Milan-San Remo was on the weekend, Matt.
It was indeed, and we talked about Peter Sagan possibly being the only guy who could possibly descend the Poggio, Eddie Merckx or Sean Kelly style, and get off the front. Well, he did exactly that. However, he took 2 guys with him. He took some guy called Kwiatkowski, former world champion and winner of Strada Bianchi, and Julian Alaphilippe of the Quickstep team, who's right on form after winning Paris-Nice just recently. Sagan,
Took him
he's
to the
an
finish.
entertainer, isn't he?
Absolutely. And this is the thing, he came out with a quote afterwards after he towed Kwiatkowski to the finish line, and Kwiatkowski rightfully did the right thing, just like Simon Gerrans did to Cancellara a number of years ago. You want to take me to the finish line? I'm happy to out sprint you. But Sagan came out and said, "Look, happy with my result. I'm content because the result is important, but entertaining is important as well." And we put on a show. I put on a show. I showed how good I was. And if I didn't win, that's just how it is.
And he's had a lot of praise. There's not a professional in the world that doesn't think he's the greatest guy going around. Mario Cipollini, former world champion and winner of Milan-San Remo, twice winner of Ghent-Wevelgem, he came out in the press and said, "Hey, it took me 14 attempts to win Milan-San Remo. Sagan's only ridden it 4 or 5 times."
Caleb Ewan, first attempt in the top 10.
Top 10.
Pretty good effort.
Interesting to see Michael Matthews had the whole of the new team, Sunweb, riding for him. Didn't work out
Just
for him.
came in the bunch.
The Orica curse. Don't leave Orica.
Don't leave Orica. They put the Malocchia on you.
And our girls have been going beautifully in Europe.
Bet Carter team WNT, our team, number 1 team as far as we're concerned. Bet Carter's had a win last weekend, and the greatest West Australian bike racing girl going around at the moment, Jessica Allen, most aggressive rider
in the classic trophy Alfredo Binder.
I think he used to make toe straps, didn't he?
He went all right on a bike too, but yeah, they named a toe strap after him.
Yeah, fair
It's a
enough.
good toe strap too.
Okay. Bit of controversy at Nakera Course.
Yes, Nakera Corsa.
Some rider from was it Lotto?
Some big guy.
Grabbed another guy, pulled him back, threw him back through the bunch, and got disqualified.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. You're not allowed to take your hands off the bars in a bike race and grab hold of somebody else. Even if you have, you're not allowed to. And of course, the big thing about the Nakera Corsa, 2009, West Australia's own Graham Brown won that one. Uphill cobbled climb, he wants you to know.
He probably would have picked himself to lose that day, and hence he won.
That's why he won it. That's exactly right. Now, there's an absolute mad event going on as we speak to you right now. It started in Western Australia the other day. It's going to finish in Sydney 5,500 kilometres later. The Indian Pacific Wheel Race. Now, Toggles will tell you, I'm not one for promoting cyclo-sportive participation and style events too much. I'm not a great fan of them. But I am a big fan of something that has a finish line and you can cross it first and get a trophy. Now this one is a bike race, but it's a different type of bike race, isn't it?
It's complete and utter madness, Matt. It's from Perth to Sydney. They started in Fremantle and they're going to finish at, I think, Bondi Beach. They're going to go across Australia on a set route, totally unsupported. So you've got to carry everything you want. If you go off course, you've got to come back and enter the course at the same point. You can buy supplies on the way, but you can't ring ahead and book your accommodation. You just got to roll into a town and find accommodation. To the point, one guy found a toilet block the other day and had a sleep in it because that was the only thing he could find.
Wow.
And they're doing enormous amounts of kilometres.
Madness.
They're 3 or 4 days in. They're already across Nullarbor, in South Australia, some of them anyway. There's a couple
1,500 Ks in like 4 days or
just
something.
madness.
Yeah.
You have to be a special type of tat to do this type
You do.
of race.
And when
I say that, we know that because, our good mate, Cycling Maven, Mark Ferguson, he's a special type of tat. He's doing this.
Tell you who else is doing it. A man who people will know from the Great Australian Press and Tour de France over the years, Rupert Guinness, who's retired from being a scribe. For those of you who don't know who Rupert Guinness is, if pretty much anything you've read in a paper or a cycling magazine about Phil Anderson or Neil Stevens or Stephen Hodge or Alan Piper over the years, it's a good chance Rupert Guinness is the one who wrote it. A great writer and a great storyman of cycling in Australia. So he's done a few Ironmans and so forth, and he's giving this one a bit of a crack as well.
Look, I can see the appeal. It is an achievement. It's something you can tell your grandchildren about if you ever have grandchildren. And you can, say, I rode across Australia.
Raced across
Australia because it is a race.
Yep.
But as the great man Zohan said, it's not for me.
So week before last, we talked about disc brakes.
Yes.
No one seemed to care. Last week we mentioned something about power meters. Did anyone come back to us about
I didn't
power
get an
meters?
email this week.
No one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares.
No one.
We did get a couple of emails about one or two other things. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your negativity on one or two matters. I don't think we're going to get into the negativity side of it.
No, I think it wasn't meant as negativity. Might have just come across that way. In our defence, we do this unpaid. We can't mention everyone. We try. But if we miss you out, it's not done out of malice.
Pick you up some other time.
That's it. So if you do have anything to say to us, matt1@iinet.net.au, you're welcome. We really do love your correspondence, good, bad and indifferent. Send something through. Mate, a couple of things coming up in the next few weeks.
Well, this weekend, of course, we've got the final round here in Western Australia of the Ring Series. The Ring champion will be crowned.
I think the champions are already done, mate.
Yeah, we've got to have the last race just to make sure the points are all adjusted. But on the 9th of April, West Cycle Sport Western Australia, have decided to do an encore Ring Series. Now, what they're doing is they're going to reinvent the very famous and the old leadable hot dog circuit, and that's going to be on up and down, just out front of where we're sitting now at Sweet Remedy. They'll use Oxford Street and run the encore to the Ring Series, but it's not until April 9th, which incidentally is the same day as Paris-Roubaix, which incidentally is Tom Boonan's final race as a professional cyclist. But before then, April number 2, Matt Tognini's going to ride up more hills than WA has.
Probably. We're doing the dams on April 2, which is on, you've got 5 dams, 3 dams. I'm doing the 3 dams because 5 dams just doesn't appeal to me. But more importantly, on April 2, my favourite bike race, I reckon, going around, Tour of Flanders, over the cobbled climbs of Belgium. I just look forward to this every year. There's going to be a number of riders who peak for this race every year. Sagan being one, Van Avermaet being another.
Yeah.
Obviously Boonen wants to do very, very well in his last time in the Ronda. Look,
it's going to be a different bike race this year because the one man missing who has made Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix his own, and everyone tends to use him as the litmus paper, really. And Fabian Cancellara's not there this year, so the only guy who had the legs to be able to chase Sagan last year, and Sagan won on a lone breakaway last year, was Cancellara. So does that mean that Sagan's going to pretty much have it his own way in the last 20 kilometres? And like you say, it'll be Boonan's second to last race as a professional. He might ride Gent Wevelgem, but he's going to be trying to show his worth at the Tour of Flanders. And you know what it's like. He'd love to win Paris-Roubaix and try and break the Roger de Vlaeminck record of 4 wins, which he holds with Roger de Vlaeminck. Try and get the 5th win. Oh, geez, he's going to have a lot of luck at Paris-Roubaix. But you never know. He may step up and win Tour of Flanders because he's putting all his eggs into the Paris-Roubaix basket.
Look, if someone said to him, you can have of those 2 races, we're only going to let you win Tour of Flanders, he'd say, well done, I'll take Tour of Flanders. Yeah, it doesn't matter, really, does it? Roubaix can tend to be a bit more of a lottery depending on weather, depending on crashes and so forth. Not to say that that's not a factor at Flanders, but Roubaix certainly just a bit more chance involved, I would
Exactly
think.
right. We've got the West Coast Masters Cycling Championships, State Championships this weekend out at Wangara for all of you.
AVCC.
So they'll be having those up there. Now, a bit of an interesting one there. They had short numbers for the last few years, but this year you have to enter online, but it's a free entry.
Yes, no prize money.
No prize money.
Free entry. 10-year age groups.
Yeah.
Not a big fan, but look, they do what they got to do.
I'm a fan of West Coast Master Cycling Club,
Absolutely.
ABCC, and everyone who gets out there
April
and runs
2,
it.
what we forgot? The state 160 kilometre time trial with ATTA. They'll be down on numbers because most of the nutters are doing Indy Pack. Look, 160k time trial. I just don't see the attraction. I've got a number of mates who've done it over a number of years.
Yep.
Chris Brown.
Troy Coulthard, Magnus Redisell.
Yep. They love it, and all power to you. If that's what floats your boat, get out there and ride your TT bike for 160k. For me, I would rather stick pins in my eyes.
Folks, I reckon that's about all we've got for you this week. Mate, enjoy your ride, enjoy your training for dams. See how you go.
Dams is just training. You enjoy it. You just get back on your bike.
I can't find it.
Can't find it.
Anyway,
There it is.
see you folks.
See you later.